Hi there, Dan Sanchez again, managing broker with Coldwell Banker Danforth. I'm going to adjust this a little bit here. Now we're going to talk about how developers rip you off, or at least one way that they do it. You might receive a contract in the mail, a purchase and sale agreement in the mail, or they might show up at your door with a purchase and sale agreement in hand. Okay, so before I go into the problems with that, first I want to refresh your memory about how an actual purchase and sale agreement works when you're buying a regular house. Okay, so if you are out there trying to buy a house, you're working with a real estate agent, buying a house that's listed, the way it would go is your purchase and sale agreement would be filled out by your broker, who is a member of the multiple listing service. Almost all real estate agents who sell houses are a member of the multiple listing service. Like, I'd be surprised if it's not 100%. Okay, now we all have to use the same forms when we fill out a purchase and sale agreement. And it's actually a collection of forms. So there could be 5 or 6 different forms, each of them between 2 and 5 pages, that actually makes up the purchase and sale agreement. So for instance, the main form is the 21A, I think, and it's 5 pages. And that's where you're going to find the price and the closing date and who the escrow is, what the earnest money is, the name of the buyer, all that kind of good stuff. And then it's going to be followed by 4 or 5 pages, I think, of fine, quote unquote, fine print. Okay, that's going to say things like, the end of the day is actually 9 p.m. It's not midnight like you might think. All sorts of things like that. A lot of details we don't have to go into. But the point is, there's a good chance that if a contract shows up at your door, it's not going to be one from the multiple listing service. It's going to be one that the developer's attorney made up, okay? And that fine print is not going to probably be very friendly to you. And so first let's just go over the components of an offer real quick. You've got the price, you have the earnest money, which is a deposit that you make. When you go to buy a house, you're going to make a deposit, probably 2% of the purchase price. So, and that's going to be held in escrow. The next thing is you might have an inspection contingency, period of time in which you can inspect the property. Usually in this market, it's 2 or 3 days. And then the period of time when you're going to close. Now, the contract that you're going to get from the developer, believe it or not, you may get contracts that have a blank price. And they're going to say, just fill your price in. Now, you may think your house is worth $800,000 or whatever, but hey, this guy says fill out the price, so you're going to fill out, $1 million for it. Okay. Well, I guarantee you that contract is going to have what they call a feasibility period. It's the same thing as an inspection contingency. It's going to be a period of time in which they can investigate whether or not they can put a bunch of townhomes on your property. And they're going to make up all kinds of stuff like, we need to make sure that the water main can handle the extra units that we want, and the sewer can handle it, and that there's power enough, and all this kind of stuff, which is true. Okay, that's reasonable, but the thing is, unless you hire your own experts, you're not going to know what they're talking about. Or even if they're telling you the truth when they come back with the results of their feasibility study, which undoubtedly, in my opinion, it will probably not be good. Because what they use it for is to beat you down on the price. So you get a contract in the mail where you fill out the price, I can almost guarantee you it's not going to close for the price that you say. They're going to find all kinds of reasons that you don't understand as to why the price should be lower. They're going to come back to you after 9 days of a 10-day feasibility period, and they're going to say, look, there's not enough water to the property. It's going to cost us, $150,000 to tie into the water main down the street. And they're going to talk about storm water retention and, just all kinds of stuff. Okay. Bunch of mumbo jumbo that you don't probably understand. And they're going to be really nice about it. They're going to love to just explain it to you. And you're not going to really know if they're telling you the truth about any of this stuff unless you've done the work already. Okay. Now they're going to come back for your $800,000 house. And they're going to say, well, because of this and that, we can only pay $7 for it. Okay. And it very well may be worth $1 million, but this is the number one strategy I see all the time. They come back at the end of 9 days and they say, well, unfortunately, we can give you $700 can't give you a million, but you know what? We can close in 10 days now. Okay. So just be aware of that. Whenever you see a contract like that where it just says fill in the price, it's not going to be that price. I can almost promise you it's not going to be that price. They're going to come back and it's going to be way off that price, but they're going to hit you like, but you'll get it in 10 days. Or you could put it on the market and try to see if you can get 800,000 or something for it, and then you're going to get it in 60 days. Or you can get our money, in 9 days. In the meantime, they're trying to convince you to lose money, right? And people fall for it all the time. Now, one strategy that they may use that you will see, the buyer is going to be XYZ development company, and or assigns. Now, major red flag is when it says and or assigns. That means they could assign the contract to somebody else. A lot of times, instead of investigating the property during that 10-day period of time, that 10-day feasibility period, a lot of times they're actually trying to find another buyer. I mean, for all you know, they've got a buyer for $800,000, and they're trying to beat you down to $700,000. They're going to just take $100,000 from you, flip it off to somebody else, flip the contract. When I used to sell commercial real estate, I've done that. I'm not proud of it. It's why I don't do it anymore. But I'm telling you, if you see something that says and or assigns, it means you are giving them the right to assign the contract to somebody. So it might say XYZ development and or assigns, and a totally different buyer, winds up buying it later for more, and they give the difference to the guy that, tricked you into selling it for 700. It's really shameful, and it's a very, very common strategy. In fact, there's an entire investment club. There's 2 that I know of, investment clubs in Seattle that train people how to do that. They call it wholesaling, and it's BS. Let me tell you something. Somebody says they're a wholesaler, it means they steal property from people, okay? Now, I'm going to get into a lot of trouble probably with friends, okay, and probably other real estate agents, but in my opinion, somebody says they're a wholesaler, they're ripping people off. And people go to classes to learn how to do this, okay? It's amazing. So you're going to have all kinds of people knocking on your door if the upzones go through, who are hoping that you don't know how much the property is worth, and they're going to throw all kinds of trickery at you. And one way you can avoid that is to have your own feasibility study done. You can hire an architect for might cost $2,000, but they will tell you exactly how many units can be built on it and what all the costs are going to be. They will be able to tell you that yes, the water main down the street is going to cost X amount of dollars to tie into, and they're going to tell you, maybe you thought you could build 4 units on it, but there's some tricks to the code where you could build 5, that sort of thing. And then you take that, and then you can find developers lining up to buy that. You don't have to sell the property to somebody who's probably going to rip you off, when for just a couple grand, if you can scrape it together, you can do it. Or list the property with a real estate agent who does the work for you, or there are plenty of other strategies. But somebody shows up at your door with a contract that's for a crazy price or lets you fill in the price, you can't believe the price. As long as it has a feasibility period attached to it, they will come back to you at the end of the feasibility period. It's usually 10 days. They're going to come back to you and they're going to say, I'm sorry, I can't give you that price. And it's going to be something lower than you ever imagined selling the property to, but they're going to tell you, but you can have the money in 10 days. We'll close in 10 days. Another thing to watch out for is a lot of times these guys won't even put up real earnest money. When you go to buy a house, you're going to put up 2% of the purchase price that escrow is going to hold. So, you write the purchase and sale agreement, and you include a check for the earnest money deposit. Well, a lot of times these guys include a note. It's just a piece of paper that says they owe you, $20,000 or whatever it is, and you'll never see the money until it closes. It's not. It shouldn't even be called earnest money, but they'll say, oh, but call my bank. They'll tell you I have the money. Well, it's not a check. Okay, a check is a lot different than just a piece of paper that says I owe you 20,000. But they're going to try to tell you why that's okay, and it's not okay. I mean, when I'm working with buyers, I won't work with a buyer that operates like that. So, in my opinion, it's shady from the get-go. So you get a contract, blank price. It says and/or signs on the top. It's got a long feasibility period, and they've got a note for earnest money. Just run. Don't pretend like you just won the lottery or something. It's not going to happen. It's the same as some Prince telling you, in your email that, he's got $5 million for you or something. If you can just send him a check for 5,000, like it's the same thing, except it happens to be legal. So just watch out. I guess that's all I've got. Thank you.